Hi everyone, it's Kim. Thanks for joining me. Masculine cards are something that we need year round, and with Father's Day coming up, I thought this would be a perfect time to take a look at a few ideas. Depending on the interests of the guy that you're making a card for, that will determine the theme of your card. So, what I share with you today are the dies that I have on hand. If your person is into cooking or camping, gardening, whatever, I'm sure you have collected dies throughout the years that pertain to their interests. So anything I show you today can easily be swapped out with whatever you have on hand or whatever theme you need to make your card. So I'm going to start with this one. I love the dog collection from Elizabeth Craft. So I basically pulled some dies to deal with someone who is into tools, likes to build or make things. So I'm starting with the dog collection, and this gives you some good ideas of different breeds. And of course, you can personalize this, change up the colors, mix and match the pieces to make the dog that you need. So I just have kind of my generic little Poochie in there. I pulled out the Jeep die, which is an older vehicle from Elizabeth Craft Designs. They have a new car that came out with the dog collection. And there is also the scooter and sidecar with the mouse collection. But I thought, I haven't used this in a while. I'm going to pull it out and use it. And then I filled up my Jeep with the tools from the construction accessories with the mouse collection. Now, one thing I've been trying out, does the mouse pieces fit on the dog? And generally, yes, they do. But even if you're not into the mice, I love all these tools. And basically, this is a collection of tools, and I filled my Jeep with those. It's getting easier and easier, fortunately, to find dies and stamps that pertain to our masculine cards. But I have several different die sets of tools, different sizes, different tools. But this one had some different ones in here. This level, the square that I don't think I have in some of my other sets, and they're all different sizes. So I can never have too many tools in my collection, and I was happy to fill my little Jeep with those tools. I did go back. You can kind of look at this rusty goodness here. And I die cut out some of my pieces from the resting powder cardstock that I had made earlier. And we're going to see that again here. I really got into that rust. But this will start us off. So somebody who maybe has a dog or likes tools, this is perfect for them. And then I went to a sports related card. Now, this is again using the dog. And since we looked at the Lorna label earlier and how easy that is to use, I thought I'm going to use the Lorna label. I can make an easy pop up card. And this time is for the golf fan. So my golf accessories come from the Golf Accessories collection with Elizabeth Craft for the mice. But again, I'm using it on the dog. So I use the hat on the dog and the flag. And this is supposed to be a hole that he's going to put his ball into. Now, if you look at his eyes and you say, what is wrong with that guy's eyes? Well, he's just trying to stare down that ball and make sure it's lined up with the hole. So I tried to give it a little different vibe there. And then on the inside, I used the Lorna label pop-up. We looked at how easy this was to put together because you basically just lay it down and line up a fold line, tuck in the flaps, glue them down, and you're set to go, and you have an easy pop-up. So I took like the green and the flag and the ball. I could put that on that front little panel there to give it some dimension. And then this decorative piece that comes with the Lorna label, I just cut that out again, and I can use that to write my personal sentiment. And the Happy Father's Day is from Karen Burniston. Again, just like the Happy Mother's Day, this one is going to get a workout. You're going to see this numerous times today. So easy to use. It does have the shadow or background die with it. This time I just used the piece that came with the Lorna label. is it cut out the same as the background for my pop-up. So there's for maybe a golf fan. Again, you could use this for any theme you want, and then just use it to pop up some pieces inside your card. Okay, so let's take another one. I want to show you another die that's very much like the Lorna label. It's called the Little Labels Pop-Up, so I guess we'll start with the outside. This is, again, for a sports fan. And on the inside, I have 3 areas that pop up. And I can decorate those, but you're going to see that it's just exactly like the Lorna label. It lays flat. We line up the fold lines, and then we've got 3 little flaps here and 3 little flaps here. We glue and tuck under, and very, very simple, just like the Lorna label, but for a slimline card. So for this one, I have the Spellbinders collection. I love this one because it had several different dies and a stamp set. The shirts can be, golf, basketball. I made this into baseball. And then it also has a coordinating set, sporting goods set. So you can see all the different pieces of equipment. And these are fairly good size. That's why I really like this set. I have other balls, sports balls and golf balls, baseball bats, but they're a little smaller. So depending on what you're doing, this may be good if you need something a little larger. And then let's finish on the outside. For Dad, I just wanted a font set. If you have a special sports team and you don't have, say, the logo, get online and you could size it up, print it off, and put it onto the shirt. This is an older set from Tim, Alphanumeric Varsity, but that just worked perfect to put Dad on my jersey. And then there's a Happy Father's Day again. This time I did use the shadow or the background die. And then on the inside, the baseball bats and the baseball. And then I had these 2 other little pop-up areas that I thought I need to put something on there. I didn't have like a baseball glove or anything in this set, so I thought, what else could I use? Well, what else do we do at the ballpark? We eat. So I had the hot dog from the fast food charms, which fit perfectly. And then for the beer, I have that from the happy hour charms. So I could have put a hamburger over there, or if you have like a bottle of Coke, here's a soft drink, I could have used that. So again, just dig through your stash, see what you've got. The You're the Best is from the coordinating stamp set from Spellbinders All-Star Sentiments. There's quite a few in here. I wanted to use You're the Best around, but unfortunately, this little tag that goes in the Little Labels pop-up wasn't long enough. So I just inked up You're the Best and stamped that part of it and stuck it there on my pop-up. And then this is a label. I pulled this from the Rectangles and Labels crosshatch from Karen Burniston, just so I'd have a place to write a personal sentiment. So again, this one is just exactly the same construction of the Lorna label, but gives you 3 little places to put some kind of decoration, and just another way to use and display our pop-up dies. Okay, so let me show you this one, and this is more with some of our rusty, crusty goodness that we did earlier. And this is not the not the truck that we did in the earlier video, but I want to show you this, and then we will see that original truck here in a minute. So this says Happy Father's Day, and I open it up and I have a pop-up. And this was an experiment. Parts of it I like, parts of it, I'm not sure about. But let's start with the outside. And I used this truck, the Timeless truck from Spellbinders. I've used this a lot. And I cut out this truck from a piece of rusted paper. And this is using the rusting powder from Paper Artsy. And I've cut this up. I've pretty much used the whole thing, but I could decide, I knew I didn't need the whole truck, and I thought I can place this die where I can get the rusty goodness where I want it. So I placed it so it was on the front of the truck. And you can see here, I've got just a little bit left. I also cut out Happy Father's Day from this piece. And then for like the fenders and the running board, I cut that out of the same piece. Then I used that Posca pin, the silver Posca pin where we talked about, where I pressed the tip down, the nib down, got a little paint out, spritzed it with some water, and then just dipped my pieces in there so they have just a little bit of silver on them, like it's kind of worn off through time. But love this truck. I did take a little bit of distress ink. I think it was the salvage patina, if I recall, and just inked it over just to give the truck a little color instead of just this kind of grayish looking piece. On the inside, this is one of the cars that we made using that rusting powder as well. I wanted the car to pop up and I wanted my speedometer to pop up. So what I did for the speedometer, and I'm very happy with that part, I used the Peacock add-ons, and I just used this piece as my base to hold that speedometer. And the speedometer is from Spellbinders, and it is called Speedometer. So I was happy with how that popped up. And then I thought, well, I want a car to pop up. I'm not as thrilled with what I did with the car. This is kind of an experiment. I'm not sure that I like it kind of comes on its side, so to speak. This is also a really long car. So I had to play with it quite a bit to get it to work. My tire kind of rubs a little, but that's okay. It does open and close. So I'm not sure I love what I did with the pop-up. The car is from Spellbinders, the classic car. That comes in a set with the Timeless truck, and then there is a third, more kind of a sports car that goes with this set. These are just rub-ons from 49th and Market that came with this collection that I think I've had for over a year now. And then I'm going to show you the die I used, but I'm not going to go into great detail. I'll use this idea for something else that's a little smaller and that works a little better than the car in the future, but it's the raising platform pop-up, and I just use a portion of this die. So we'll look at that again down the road, something that I think maybe works a little better, but I still wanted to share this with you because I do like what I did with the speedometer. So when I was working on actually this card, I had another idea of using the little labels pop-up die. So let me show you what I did. And I like how I displayed this card better. So I didn't do much on the outside. What I want to show you is the inside. And there is that original truck we made with the rusting powder from Paper Artsy. And this is the same die. This is the little labels pop up, except I cut out this center piece. So before I even attached it, I die cut it out. All I had to do was cut right here along the fold line, and that took out that center panel. And then that left me some kind of display space back behind that truck. So I really like this. And again, this just kind of came to me because I thought, what am I going to do with that truck? This allows me to put that truck on there and it pops it up. And now I put the speedometer directly on my back card, on the back side of my card. I did have to raise it up, I will tell you that. Or first, I had it clear down to the fold line, and the speedometer only kind of came up halfway, and that was just too low. So I cut another one out and stuck it up on top. So next time I'll just cut out a piece of paper to cover up the base if I want to have a continuous color down to that fold line, and then have my speedometer pop up. And then I can decorate these side panels however I want. And then I also used these other two pieces kind of in a little different way from Spellbinder Speedometer. And then I can write here. There's also a stamp set that coordinates if you want to use kind of a stamp that goes with this, or, whatever you have. I'm just going to write my little personal note there. And then on the outside, I'll put whatever sentiment, whether it's Father's Day, birthday, whatever it is, for whatever occasion. But I was really, really happy for an idea that just kind of popped into my mind. Again, this die, the little labels pop up, could not be easier, and it goes in just like the Lorna label pop up. Okay, and of course, I couldn't leave you without a stage card. We looked at how easy it is to make these stage cards. And so here's another theme. This is like if they took it out of the envelope, and we're going to pop it up. And unfortunately, you won't be able to see my fish here. I got his little line. I'm going to hold it like this so you can kind of see that the fish pops up, because I think once I lay it this way, the fish will pop back down. But I have a fish caught on a hook. The guy's going to reel him in. That comes up through the center of my stage. Then I die cut a little slot there, and I've got another little fish just popping up to see what's going on up there. And then I can't think what these things are called, but floating, waiting to catch another little fish. And then on the base, I put some of my fish. I've got my guy. And then on the back, Happy Father's Day with a fishing pole and a few more fish. So to start this one was the stage pop-up. We looked at this last time, how easy. So this is the basic stage pop-up. The fish is coming up on a piece of acetate that I just cut that so I could have a nice long piece. And then I did make one slot there for the head of a fish to come up. What I do like is my little fisherman back there. This is a die that it's easy to personalize to maybe look like your fisherman, the paper people. And you have a lot of different hairstyles, but like this one here is this guy. And I thought I'm making him like a gray haired guy. So I trimmed this down just a little bit so his hair wouldn't be quite as long. It's a minor thing, but that's just to say if you need to adjust a hairstyle a little bit, take one of these and just trim it up a little bit. And then his hat, his fishing poles, some of the fish come from the fishing boat add-ons. So I made a couple fishing poles. This one is like I die cut it and flipped it around. So that's like the back side of it. And same thing back here. The fish also come from the fishing boat add-ons. And then the ones I have around the base are from the fishing boat add-ons. And then my fish are the fishing lure charms because I wanted a big fish coming out of here. So even though this is a charm, I did leave the little circle there on the front just so I'd have something to put that hook in, but I trimmed it off this fish down here. So this guy poking up. So I decided to, even though these are lures, I needed a big fish. So I thought that works fine for what I'm doing here. And then this is just thread that I tied in. I did put a little bit of glue on the ends. One thing to be aware of is when you do this, just do one, maybe like tie it on the fish or on this lure here, and then put it down and then bring it up to your fishing pole. This one that's down here is tight now, but when I bring the fish up and I stand it up, then this is basically almost straight across. So just bear that in mind when you go to put your fishing line on there, whatever you use, just to give it enough room so that like when you close this up, it doesn't break your line. And then I will just put my sentiment down here, but again, I could have stamped something on this bottom part as well. So hopefully that gives you some ideas on how to use some of your dies and try out maybe a new style of pop-up card, which is just like the Lorna label. The little labels pop up here, and then pull the dies out that you have in your collection for the guys that you need to make cards for, whatever their interests are, cooking, painting, hunting, fishing, gardening, whatever it may be. We now have a lot more dies available to us to personalize them and make them special for the guys in our life. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you again in a future video.